welcome to Ballot Meridian election coverage on HOMTV. I'm Julie Dunmeyer. Joining us for this candidate interview is Julie Brixie, Democratic Incumbent Candidate for Meridian Township Treasurer. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to introduce yourself for our viewers.
Sure. I have had the honor and the privilege to serve as Treasurer of Meridian Township for our residents for the past 8 years. And I've really enjoyed being able to serve residents in this capacity. If reelected, I plan to continue the fiscally sound collection and investment practices that I've put into place over the past 8 years to protect and safeguard our valuable township assets.
All right, thank you. Each candidate for Meridian Township Treasurer will be asked a standard list of 10 questions. Let's get started with question number 1. What qualifications do you bring to the position of Township Treasurer?
Well, first of all, I am a certified public funds investment manager. I'm also a certified Michigan Municipal Treasurer. This is a 3-year program that is specific to township and city government in Michigan municipalities. State law strictly regulates the types of investments that townships are allowed to invest in. And by participating in, completing, and becoming a certified Michigan Municipal Treasurer, I'm very familiar with the intricacies of Michigan state law. In addition to this, I hold a bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Illinois, and I hold a Master of Science degree from right here in East Lansing, Michigan State University in environmental toxicology and soil chemistry. In addition to those qualifications, my formal education, I also served as trustee for Meridian Township for 8 years prior to becoming elected treasurer. And those 8 years gave me a lot of time to familiarize myself with township governance and become very familiar with the ins and outs of struggles that we face here at the government level.
Okay, question number 2. What is the essential role of the Township Treasurer in serving the community, and how would you fit that role?
Well, as treasurer, my statutory responsibility is to collect and invest surplus funds for the township and to collect the taxes for the township. So in terms of my role in the community, one of the things that I've really thought it important to focus on is customer service and providing good customer service for our residents and for taxpayers. If you come into the office here at the township, you are likely to find me behind the counter. I might take your tax payment, or I might take your water payment, because I believe in rolling up my sleeves and getting to work and being involved in the day-to-day operations. This type of management style has enabled me to understand the daily activities that occur and to find ways to improve them, thus improving customer service for the residents or other customers in the township. So one of the first things that I established after becoming treasurer was to introduce electronic payment options for taxpayers. In today's busy world, so many people are not interested in writing out checks and mailing them in or coming in and paying in person. A lot of people want to automate and make their payments electronically. So I did introduce electronic payments for taxes, and it's a recurring option that you can have done so that you don't have to think about it. The way that the program works is if you enroll in the electronic payment program, you still receive a paper tax bill, which is a state requirement, and you get an email that reminds you that you're in the program. A week before the taxes are to be paid, you get another email reminding you that it's about to come out, and the day we perform the transaction, you get a third email letting you know that it occurred. So this is a service that saves people time who are enrolled in it, but one of the nice things about it is it also saves everybody else time. So before I was elected treasurer, on tax day, the lines for payment often went completely through the lobby and outside and down to the little street that we have here in front of the municipal complex. And that's really ended. I really put an end to that by offering this payment option. A lot of people that are enrolled in the program are last day payers, and thus the people who are still paying on the last day in person find that they're able to get through the lines a lot more quickly and efficiently. In terms of my focus on excellent customer service, one of the things that occurred in the township through a series of rather unfortunate events was that last year on summer tax day, which is typically the busiest day of the year for my office, we found ourselves in a situation where our main parking lot was torn up. And as tax day approached and it became obvious that the parking lot repaving wasn't going to be finished, I was really very concerned about our residents, especially our older residents and our residents with disabilities, in terms of how were they going to make it from our historical village, Nokomis parking lot, all the way down to our office. So I worked together with a team, the management team here at the township, and we came up with a really customer-friendly solution. We set up a tax tent in front of the police department, and we provided curbside service for residents who were paying with a check and who had their bill and everything they needed. We also provided a tax taxi with the help of Meridian Sun Golf Club, who donated the use of a golf cart to us for the week. We provided rides from the parking lot to the main municipal building for those folks that needed to come inside and pay cash or pay in person. If you needed a ride, if you had any difficulty getting from the parking lot, we provided it. And that's really an example of how I operate in the treasurer's office on a day-to-day basis, providing excellent customer service, because that's something that our residents deserve and that our residents demand, and that I feel it's my job to provide.
All right, question 3. If elected, how will you ensure the safe investment of township funds?
Well, first of all, I have been trained as a certified public funds investment manager and as a certified Michigan municipal treasurer. And since I have been the treasurer for the past 8 years, I do have a track record in this area. Now, Julie, when I came into office, it was the beginning of the Great Recession, and it was really a very uncertain economic time for the township, for our residents, and really for the global economy as well. And things were really bleak in the first few years that I was here as treasurer. The state, as I mentioned before, strictly regulates the types of investments that townships can make. And one of the things that the state has as an objective is, the most important thing is safety of principal, or safety of the initial tax dollars that you're going to invest. The second thing that they put a primary focus on through their regulation is liquidity of funds. We have to be able to have the money we need when we need it. And these two things combined together have really set the tone of the type of investments that I make as your township treasurer. I have had a very, very conservative fiscal approach to township investments. And I am a product of the environment that I came into office in. When I was first elected treasurer, there were many communities that were forced to sell investments in order to use some of their cash reserves that they needed, and the investments that they sold had lost value because of the Great Recession and what was happening to the different types of markets at the time. So there were many communities that lost real money. They lost actual tax dollars during these tough times. Meridian Township hasn't lost a single cent. And that's because of the safe method that I use to invest our taxpayer dollars. We have to make sure that we protect the assets of the township. It's the utmost importance for us. When we went through the recession, we needed to use our cash reserves, and fortunately, we were able to use them because of the manner in which they had been invested. Interest rates during that time really dropped, and they're still at historically low levels. So we're looking at facing another 2, 3, 5 years of historically low interest rates, which creates an environment of really low yield and earnings for municipalities. And when that happens, people are tempted to make risky investments because they're tired of low interest rates and they want to get some kind of instantaneous gratification, or they want higher yields. And we have to be very careful when making the investments, not to do risky investments that would jeopardize the principal or the liquidity of township investments. And I've done that, and I have a great record of that. I'm proud of that, and I'll continue to do that if elected again as your treasurer.
Okay, question 4. Explain ways in which you would balance the needs of the business community and residents.
Well, one of the things that we have, a tool that we have in our toolbox is our master plan. And I think in terms of balancing the needs of businesses and residents, probably the biggest area of friction that would occur in the township is related to land use planning. And so when we're making land use decisions, we have our master plan as a guide to help us make those decisions. Another thing that we have is our criteria and our rules and our regulations for permitting. So if a business comes in and wants to locate a new business that perhaps has something like a drive-through on it, we have a set of criteria that they have to go through. We have a set of processes that the business has to go through that really takes into account the residents' and other neighbors' needs. So through our permitting process, for our special use permits, for example, we'll follow a criteria that take into effect noise, light, odors, and increased traffic that might occur as a result of the new business. And this process ensures that everybody's needs are taken into account and that people are treated fairly through our permitting process. So we have built in some safeguards to protect residents from some of the possible negative impacts of businesses. Now, from a business owner's perspective, you know, some of the things that create friction are things that are good for businesses, like high traffic, are not things that residents typically want. So even though increased traffic in front of their business would be something that would benefit a business, we're not about to go out and say, hey, how can we increase traffic on these streets? That would be silly. So really using common sense is another way that we can balance the needs of the residents and the businesses. And we need both of those stakeholders in order to have a good community. We need thriving businesses to have the kind of Meridian Township that people want to continue to live in, to invest in, to work in, to go to school in. We need that. We need a healthy mix of residents, businesses, schools, and quality of life amenities like trails, parks, and preserves.
All right. And question 5, please comment on the current state of downtown Okemos, Hazlitt Village Square, and Carriage Hills. What proposals would you like to make, if any, for improvements to those areas?
Well, I guess I'll start with the easiest one first, and that's Carriage Hills. That's one of the 3 areas that we have had some success in. With the recent relocation of Spartan Fit and Dance as one of the anchors in the Carriage Hills Shopping Center, I think that we're really on the right track to success for that area of Meridian Township. Sadly, downtown Okemos and the Hazlitt Village Square are 2 areas that really still need a lot of assistance in order to get the transformation and the turnaround that our residents and our business owners really want to see. In downtown Okemos, I did vote to approve small brownfield redevelopment program for Douglas J, who wanted to expand their salon and bring their beauty school offices over to the site that is their current salon. Now, brownfield developments and the Brownfield Act are one way that we can help these blighted areas. I know that some people are not in favor of brownfield programs, but I am in complete support of using this tool that the state allows us to use in order to help make the change that we need in these really challenging areas. The downtown Okemos and the downtown Hazlet areas, they have really small lots. They don't meet any of our current setback requirements. These are our older areas that have existing buildings that might be in conflict with a new redevelopment of a new building, and they really need special care and attention. So we also, in downtown Okemos, we sold our old fire station after we built the new one and sold it to Evergreen Companies, which was going to build a new restaurant and at some point in the future put a little mixed-use apartment building on the site of the old fire station. So the fire station's been torn down, the Mark building started to be renovated, and then the project stalled out. It is so frustrating for me as an elected official to see this area have projects that do not come to fruition, and we've had several. We've had 3 different projects down there that have been approved that haven't come to fruition. I'm so happy to tell you that the Mark building is back on again, and the Evergreen Companies have gone through part of our planning process to get a variance in order to put the addition on that they had originally planned for that site. And I hope we get a popular restaurant there that our residents can walk to and visit and recreate and transform our downtown Okemos into a thriving, walkable community that it was in the past and that it will be in the future. The Douglas J site, the extra site, is on the market, and I hope that they are successful in getting a partner to transform downtown Okemos. In Hazlet, at the Hazlet Village Square, this is an area where I would again support a brownfield redevelopment program in order to spur redevelopment on this site. The Great Recession created low rents along Grand River, and many of our valued businesses from Hazlet Village Square relocated to the higher traffic area of Grand River Avenue. The good news was we didn't lose these businesses, but they did move out of the Hazlet Village Square, and we really need to get that started into a redevelopment that will create the thriving kind of community that our residents want to see.
Question 6, what major changes do you believe residents would like to see in the near future?
I think probably the biggest major change that our residents would like to see in the near future is something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's expansion of our trail system. So with the passage of the county trails millage, Meridian Township is so very fortunate to have been rated the #1 spot for expansion, and that's to expand the river trail, which goes through Lansing and connects to Michigan State University, to expand the river trail all the way up to Lake Lansing and the Lake Lansing trails and the Lake Lansing County Park. So the first leg of that expansion would be from campus at Hagedorn and the river over to Park Lake Road. And this expansion would include a bridge over the Red Cedar River and would include a pathway along the north side of the river, kind of behind all of the apartment buildings and businesses that are on Grand River, swinging around up to Foods for Living, and bringing the trail up to Park Lake Road. That's the first leg of the expansion. This would be a really huge project. We've applied for a grant from the state of Michigan to help complete the project, and the county has designated this as the #1 expansion. So I think our residents would be really excited to have that improved connectivity in our community, and then the next phases would link up to the interurban trail, and then the third phase would go from the interurban trail up to the lake. And I'm really excited about that. That would be a really huge asset in non-motorized transportation for the whole Lansing region, not just Meridian Township.
All right, and question number 7. Explain the role new technologies and innovations can play within the Treasurer's office. Please address any improvements you would like to make in the next 5 years.
Well, I think in order to give you a full picture of the importance of new technologies, I'll talk a little bit more about some of the things I've already done. And one of those I mentioned, the introduction of electronic payments. I also introduced the ability for a resident to pay online, pay their taxes online with a Visa debit card for only $3.95. If you pay online, the state doesn't allow us to subsidize credit card use for taxes. And so we are not allowed to directly accept credit cards here in Meridian Township for tax payments. But we do offer it as through a third party through our website, and residents can go on there, but they get charged the 3% fee that the credit cards charge gets passed on to the customers. So after I introduced recurring payments, I also made a change and introduced Visa debit card, which has only $3.95 fee, which is less than the typical credit card fee. One of the other things that I helped do is to make it possible to accept bridge card payments at our farmers market. Now, this may not impact a majority of our residents, but it is a service that is really important for our community to be able to allow those individuals who qualify for bridge cards to use them to obtain fresh fruits and vegetables. And what better way to do it than right here at our farmers market. So that's something that I put into effect. In terms of the future, something that we're working on right now and will probably be unveiling in the next month or two is the acceptance of credit cards for ambulance payments. Because the township can't directly accept credit cards, this is a technology that we've had to work through some different vendors with, and some of the services that are available to us are really not very user-friendly and not very satisfactory to us for a variety of reasons. There is a new product on the market, and we will be moving towards accepting credit card payments for our ambulance services. And the service that I'm most excited about is called Point and Pay, and this service is something that works seamlessly with the software that we use to process our tax payments, our utility payments, our building permits. Our whole financial suite of software works seamlessly with this new program, and our residents will be able to go online to view their property information, which you can do right now today, and they'll use the same interface that we have for viewing your tax information, and they'll be able to go in and pay their bills by just clicking on little buttons that say pay your water bill, pay your tax bill, pay your building permit, and it's a really great system that is a newer system that works with our software that I think will be a big improvement for those people who perhaps wish to pay with a credit card. They'll be able to pay with a credit card online and pay for that credit card fee themselves. So the taxpayers will not be subsidizing the credit card use of other customers.
All right. And it looks like we're running out of our time limit of 30 minutes, so at this time I'm going to have to end our standard list of questions. This has been an interview with Democratic candidate, incumbent candidate Julie Brixie for Meridian Township Treasurer. I'd like to give you a time to give a closing statement, if you might.
Gosh, thank you. It went so quick. I guess I'd like to invite residents to visit my website, www.juliebrixie.com, to learn more about me and my goals for Meridian Township. And I really want to thank you, Julie, and thank HOMTV for providing such excellent coverage of the candidates for our residents. And I want to finally thank the residents for allowing me the opportunity to serve as treasurer of Meridian Township.
All right, well, thank you very much for being with us. This has been a candidate interview with Julie Brixie, Democratic incumbent candidate for Meridian Township Treasurer. I'm Julie Dunmeyer, inviting you to watch Ballot Meridian election coverage right here on HOMTV.